Before we jump into today's show, following Monday Night Football, our Pittsburgh Steelers guy here at Chat Sports, Jack Sperry, had a pretty big chest, acting like the Steelers were going to the Super Bowl this year. And we are behind him in subscribers here at Chat Sports between the Browns Report and Steelers Talk. And so if you hate the Steelers and you've got an annoying Steelers friend or family member, this is your opportunity to put that frustration out. If you're already subscribed, spam FPIT. If you're not subscribed, do so, and then spam FPIT. Because I'm tired of seeing stuff like this, where Jack Sperry from Chat Sports says, the Browns will always be a poverty franchise and never come close to beating the Steelers. You know what? Royally, fuck the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's go Browns. Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here with the latest news and rumors on the Browns, along with some every so often play-by-play of USA-Iran, because I am filming this, and behind the camera is the game on TV, so if my eyes drift off, you know why. I'm just like all of you right now watching the game. So, let's jump into the news and rumors today. First things first, a roster move was made. The Browns signed a familiar face, linebacker Tae Davis. Remember, he played with Cleveland not too long ago. Kind of been a journey-ish man with the Giants, with the Browns, with the Giants, with the Browns. In his career, though, 52 tackles, over 40 games played, 2 years with the Browns, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks. They signed him to the practice squad. Now, when you sign someone in the middle of the season or later in the season to the practice squad, the expectation is, hey, let's see if you're in shape, and if so, we'll promote you to the active roster. That's usually what these signings tend to mean, but it's not always a guarantee that it goes down like that. Kind of like Tyler Davison. Remember the Browns signed the defensive tackle? We got a cross. Come on. All right, we're good. And they never promoted him once to the active roster. So that is the latest news on that front. Now, I want to talk about this. I saw this on Twitter. Quincy Carrier, who does another Browns YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Some great stuff over there. Had an interesting tweet I thought we should bring up and discuss. So he tweeted out that if/when, it is not if, it is when, the Browns get a new defensive coordinator, I'll be very interested to see what they do with Greg Newsome, Martin Emerson, and Denzel Ward. All are outstanding outside corners, but it's only 2 starting spots. And yeah, that was the big conversation of debate when they drafted Martin Emerson and then traded Troy Hill the next day. It was like, well, who's going to move to the slot corner? And Greg Newsome on the inside has been, But let's look at this part of his tweet, though. His next tweet, kind of a little bit of a thread, as Iran's on the assault right now. All right, we're good. Putting one in the slot we saw this year is kind of a waste because the ceiling for a slot corner is so low regardless of the talent. I really wouldn't be surprised if they tried to move Ward in the offseason for significant compensation to fix the surplus. Interesting. Trading Denzel Ward. Didn't think I'd be talking about that when I woke up this morning. Now, if we ever want to talk about trading players, especially big-name players with big price tags next to them, we have to get the numbers down correctly, all right? So, for Denzel Ward, a pre-June 1st trade, which if a trade were to happen, which I don't think is very likely, it would be before June 1st, really before the draft, so the Browns can get a pick for the 2023 draft. But after signing a $100 million 5-year extension with the Browns, his dead cap hit for 2023 is $34.4 million. The cap savings for the Browns is negative 22. So financially, it makes very, very little sense. The only reason why we can really give this any sort of weight and even consider it a possibility is NFL GMs have been trailblazers the last couple of years, showing, hey, we don't have an issue holding on to some dead money. Matt Ryan, this year most recently, an NFL record, when he went from Atlanta to Indy, $40.5 million. So it's not impossible, right? I don't think it's very likely, though. In fact, I'm going to go a little further and say it's close to impossible because the dead cap hit is just too big. And I understand, and we'll talk more about this in a moment, that Ward has been very underwhelming and disappointing this year, and he kind of fits the stereotype or, the narrative of once you get paid, you check out, and his numbers have looked like that. I don't think he's checked out mentally. I just think he's having, unfortunately, a very bad year at a bad time. Now, I did see this comment on a previous video from a longtime viewer here at the channel, Josh Miller, saying, The way Martin Emerson has played over the past few games, does he start over Greg Newsome or relegate Newsome to slot duty only? So when an opposing team only has 2 receivers on the field, both guys playing the outside, it is Greg Newsome and Denzel Ward. Could Martin Emerson make an argument to be on the field essentially at all times as long as there are 2 receivers on? If you want to go just by PFF's rankings, the answer is yes to that. Denzel Ward this year, by the way, ranking 112th out of 121st corners. Greg Newsome, 59th. So sort of middle of the pack, but had higher aspirations for him in year 2. But Martin Emerson, at least in PFF size, the 20th best cornerback. Now, I like PFF. I don't think they are the only metric to evaluate players. But Martin Emerson last week, or this past Sunday, against the Bucs, I mean, he basically put Mike Evans in a tiny closet with no doors or windows because he was locked out. 10 targets thrown Martin Emerson's ways, 2 receptions for 20 yards. That's how PFF graded him. Martin Emerson tweeted out like, you mean 0 receptions for 0 yards? Not sure if that really is true, but regardless, Martin Emerson had the best game of his career on Sunday. And Brian Baldinger, something I'm blanking on his name, but he had an interesting video on Twitter. You can find it on my Twitter, at Matthew Peterson, saying that was the best single performance by a cornerback all season. To kind of put this in a full circle, though, when it comes to trading Denzel Ward, because, hey, Martin Emerson's playing awesome. You could just do Emerson and Newsome, take the compensation for Denzel Ward, allocate it to bigger needs like defensive tackle. I think the next 6 games are really going to be telling if there's ever going to be a possibility where Andrew Berry at least picks up the phone and sees what the interest level is. So I don't think you can rule anything out for this defense, though. I don't think anything outside of Myles Garrett. He is the only player that cannot be touched and is not going anywhere. Everyone else in my eyes, except for probably the younger guys like Martin Emerson, but you get the gist here, everything's on the table except for Myles Garrett. But every other option, every other possibility is an option here. So here's a trade idea that I kind of cooked up with our Cowboys host here at Chat Sports, Tom Downey, where Dallas is looking for another CB, opposite of Diggs. What about the Browns get a first in this upcoming draft and a second in next year's draft, and Dallas gets Denzel Ward? What do you think about that trade? Would you do this trade? I personally am intrigued at the idea of getting a first round back, but I don't want to just punt on Denzel Ward because of one bad year. Yes, the injuries have been frustrating, that it's been a consistent theme for his entire career, has not played a full season once, but let's not all just forget that Denzel Ward is a top 5 cornerback at points of his career. This year he's playing like a bottom 5 cornerback, but I'm not ready to just pack it up and move on from him because of one bad 12-game start to the season. All right, moving on here. I saw this on Twitter, meant to bring it up yesterday, and I forgot. So now I'm going to bring it up today. The skunk game. I'm sure everyone has seen it by now, but during the Browns-Bucs game, a skunk got into the stadium and was wreaking havoc in one of the sections in the back of the end zone. Wow. Only the Browns this year would have not one, but 2 wild animals break into the stadium. I mean, people are talking, who drove the golf cart on the field? Was it the skunk? So with this being said, and some people are going as far to say as like, it's the lucky skunk or something. Maybe. I'll let you guys kind of get your creative caps on, though. Name the skunk for me. If you had to give it a name, what would it be? I tried to think of it, and I was like, you know what? I got a couple thousand friends that are going to watch this show that can come up with some pretty good ideas. The winner will get a shout-out on tomorrow's show or the day after, whenever I remember. So let me know what you want to name the skunk that may have saved any chance of the Browns making the playoffs this year. To wrap up the show, I want to talk about Deshaun Watson and his homecoming to Houston this Sunday, and a very interesting article that came out from The Athletic. Kalen Collar, who covers the Texans, I believe, for The Athletic, tweeting out, Watson has never had to play a game in front of his accusers until now. Attorney Tony Busby told he'll have a suite at the Browns-Texans game in Houston Sunday, and he says 10 of the women he represented against Watson have told him they plan to come. So we're going to talk about this. I won't say I'm going to give my take on it. I don't think you can really have a take on this subject, but we will address it for sure. First, I got to tell everyone, though, about BetUS. So today's sportsbook partner has awesome deals for the dog pound, including a 125% deposit bonus. Head on over to chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Browns125, and you can bet on the Browns-Texans game. Cleveland, 7.5-point favorites on the road. The Dolphins put up 30 in the first half last week. I'm not going to jinx it, but 7.5, this Watson return is going to go one of either two ways. Either amazing or awful. I don't see a middle ground. It's just going to be either a blowout or a very frustrating game, and we're going to be wondering, oh boy, what do we have in store for us? So let's move on, though. Let's talk about this piece that came out from The Athletic talking about the Accusers attending this Sunday's game. So, from Kalen, Busby will be there. Bells and whistles on, he said, and he's invited all 25 women he's represented in cases against Watson. I will be there to welcome Deshaun back to Houston, Busby said. He knows his clients each have their own feelings about going to the game. Several have responded that they aren't interested in attending. But Busby said the women who plan to be there in the suite, around 10 have told him they will come, will send a clear message to Watson. You think you put us behind you, but we are still here. I know everyone and all sports commentators love to get hot takes on stuff. This is obviously a very touchy, that was a bad, okay. This is obviously a very difficult subject, we should say, in better choice of words. When it comes to, Iran, save, let's go. All right, Turner. Back on track, though. I don't really have a one-word reaction to this or anything, right? I think it's a bit weird, a bit bizarre, a bit unexpected maybe. But there's no word that sums it all up, right? No one's got a one-word reaction to this. I would imagine they are going to be the loudest fans on defense, though, right? I mean, they're going to bring all the drums out to, was it offsides maybe? I don't know. Okay, doesn't matter. So that's that. That's the news. I don't have a, hot take spin on this at all. I'm just presenting it to you, and I'll let you guys come up with your own ideas in the comments section. Now, I do want to wrap up the show. We got a yellow card. Is that for us or is that for them? I don't know. But Stephen Wargo, who has been, I think he went to the bench. I love it, of Iran. Stephen Wargo, though, longtime commentator of the channel. Jacoby gets a solid B for this year. Hope maybe he comes back as the backup next year, but that's doubtful. Yeah, he played well enough to probably get maybe a starting gig next year, kind of like Teddy Bridgewater in my eyes. He's probably a starter on a team that drafts a QB high next year and is a bridge quarterback. Yep, Steven, I agree with that thought. He will enter the Tyrod Taylor phase of his career. I mean, I have said it before, but I'll reiterate. Jacoby Brissett proved me wrong. He exceeded my expectations. And I always said, he's a backup. And sometimes I like to say that to fit my narrative. But at times, he played more than just a backup. He played like a starter. So, Jacoby Brissett, clapping it up for you. Appreciate you putting up some good football for 12 weeks this season. And, Turner got it. And, happy trails. Best of luck for you moving forward. Probably going to be Kellen Mond backing up Deshaun Watson next year.